Most Sri Lankans, including legal luminaries, have very frequently spelled about the necessity of law and order. However, very seldom only we have heard them speaking about rule of law. Mr. Basil Fernando, Director of Asian Human Rights Commission, lawyer and human rights campaigner, has explained as to what are rule of law and law and order in Sri Lankan context.
No one is above the law. The beginning of the rule of law concept begins with this, that no one is above the law. So we see I think the Henry VI in England, the king and the parliament, there was a clash, and the parliament wanted to have a case against the king, and the king said, "You cannot try me. I'm your lord. I'm above you. So you cannot have a trial against me." Then the parliament held, "No, you are also, under the law. And under the law, if somebody does wrong, anybody can be brought to trial." And in that context, they not only heard the trial, they decided to behead the king. King may well have survived, as it happened in a number of other countries, if he accepted. The British royalty accepted that they are under the law. And this principle is now written into everything. So the basic concept of the rule of law is that any officer of any rank or any position can do what the law allows him to do within the limits the law puts down. That is one basic principle of the rule of law. Every officer, including the president down, they could do only what the law allows them to do. What they are supposed to do is defined within the law, and they cannot do anything about that. Then they are violating the basic principle of the rule of law. So the very short definition of rule of law. One of the commentators, a very well-known philosopher, what he says is, law and order is meaningless. There is no way you can philosophically link law with order. The law was never meant just to create order. The law is something much more fundamental. And rule of law is a political concept about how the power is distributed within society. The law defines who can do what, and thereby distribute power within the society. It brings limits on power. You cannot make a ruler above the law by law. That is not law. That's not the rule of law conception of law. When somebody says, now I am immune, this man is immune, that man is immune, that is not rule of law. You can call it law, but it's not law. So the law's purpose is not to create any order. In the moment you put law and order together, you are giving the government in power to decide what order they want to have. So in one setup they will say, okay, if there are terrorists, kill them, because it is important for us to have law and order. So there it becomes the law. So virtually, when we had disappearances, in the south, 30,000, it was done under what orders? Orders from the top, which were considered law. A justification. This is to create order. So this has become a very vital debate world over now, because even in developed countries, because of this anti-terrorism, 9/11 and all that, they try to bring this idea, law and order, rather than the very in the liberal tradition, one of the deepest concepts is the rule of law concept. Without that, you cannot have democracy. See, democracy is based on assignment of powers to different people. If there is a power expansions in one side, it will simply diminish the power on the other side. The core of the existing principles relating to the rule of law is, I suggest, that all persons and authorities within the state, whether public or private, should be bound by and entitled to the benefits of laws publicly made, taking effect generally in the future, publicly administered by courts. So there are three elements. One is that everybody has, all persons and authorities within the state, whether public or private, should be bound by. They are bound by law. At the same time, they are entitled to benefits given by the law. Everyone has benefits in the law. So they are bound by the law. At the same time, there are benefits given by the law, which is publicly made. Publicly made. Your duty and your benefits are all publicly made. Not one person this way, other person this way. Then second element is taking effect generally in the future. Now, today you make a law, then it's on the thereafter that it will have its effects. You cannot make the law just for somebody. The rule of law principle is you make statement, it will be effect in the future. Though there cannot be retrospective law, there can be laws that are. Then the third element, publicly administered by courts. This very central element, that anything relating to the law must be administered by courts. You cannot keep anything out of the courts, and it should be publicly. Courts should always act in the public, area. And whenever that is removed, for example, when you say that in 2 days' time the president can have pass a bill to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court has to report in 2 days, you are virtually making it not public. The public cannot participate in that whole process of making the law. So these elements in the law and order, there is none of these elements. Law and order, some people can be above the law, some people can be told, now you do this. Now, for example, you use we use all the time STF. Now, how does it arise? Now, if the STF has a role, it must be defined in the law. Then everybody should know. Well, in this instance, it's the STF who does it, and not the ordinary police. So the law and order concept is that whenever the government in power, this is not only in Sri Lanka, all over many countries, if you take Cambodia, today the Burma, Bangladesh, many places they have this law and order concept being introduced. So there, the government or some authority in the government decides what is the thing to be done, and that is not publicly made. It is not a public issue, and the courts are usually kept out of it. The courts, either they say that you have no jurisdiction, you cannot go into it.